Welcome back to Cephas Unscripted. We're gonna start over. I forgot completely where I was going. Okay. Welcome back to Cephas Unscripted. The first one was a blunder. We're starting again. Every game this weekend in the quarterfinals for the Champions Cup had something to talk about. You had the upset of the century with the Harlequins. You had the Bulls putting out an absolute shambles of a team, getting this demolished. Obviously, Leinster getting past the voodoo of beating La Rochelle. And then finally, you got Toulouse that took Exeter to the cleaners. While it looked like there could have been an upset victory there as well. Obviously, we have the crew back. We have Brett Burns and Brevin Herbs. Boys, what are we saying?
Firstly, how's it? Hope you guys kept my seat warm while I was away. But other than that, I enjoyed this weekend's rugby. It was very entertaining. I do, however, I've a few opinions to let loose regarding some games, but we'll get into it when we get there.
Yeah, well, I think it was a great. I wouldn't say great. I think there was one game where it was competitive, and the rest was just blowout. So, look, people can say what they want. I also have an opinion on when it comes to South African teams in this competition, and it's not a salty opinion. It's opinion where I think SA Rugby may be the ones that need to be looked at, but we'll get into that at a later stage.
Well, I don't even think we should wait till a later stage. People are probably here. They want to speak about most likely Leinster and La Rochelle, and then they want to hear our opinions about the Bulls putting out that team. And I think that's a good place to start. Obviously, we are Cephas Unscripted, so we focus on our South African teams. Brevin, you are obviously a Bulls supporter while we support the Stormers, so we probably have a bit of a different perspective around it. But I'll just give you a quick my thoughts on it. And yeah, I understand why maybe sent the weaker team to go and play the Saints, but I think it was very disrespectful, in my opinion. I think I don't agree with them being investigated, though. But I think the Bulls have a strong enough squad to have been able to play at Loftus with their second string team. I think the team that they sent to Saints would beat Munster at Loftus, and they could have just sent their strongest team over against Saints, because that is the prestigious tournament. There's no South African team that has won the tournament before, and I really back the Bulls to try and actually go for the tournament, because obviously we don't love the Bulls, but we have to back them because no South African team has won this before. So it's kind of disappointing. So, Brett, where do you stand on it before we let Brevin go?
Firstly, I want to know, Brevin, who's the number 13 that played for the Bulls?
Brand new. If I'm correct, it's his first game of the season even. He hasn't played a minute. I could be completely wrong. I forget his name. So,
okay.
Call me a casual
irrelevant.
fan.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Actually very irrelevant. So, yes, I do agree that this side could have beaten Munster at Loftus, but I also feel that the travelling has been crazy, but I know Brevin would want to talk about that. I want to raise my opinion on the world saying that the Bulls need to be investigated for not fielding their strongest side and for taking the piss out of this tournament and stuff like that, when that's completely not the case, because I feel that there might have been 3 or 4 players in that Bulls side that should not have been there. Other than that, it was a strong enough side. That 13, not a professional rugby player. I think Saints broke his line about 5 times in the first 10 minutes and just put the Bulls on the back foot. And then Nizam Kar as well, not up to standards, definitely not a good captain. And unfortunately, Chris Smith is not the answer at 10, not even backup 10 for the Bulls. Other than that, I do feel like they did have a strong enough side to go out there and beat the Saints. But it is what it is. Enough for me. Brevin, let rip.
Yeah. Well, look, I think first of all, SA Rugby need to take a look at themselves, because at the end of the day, you look at a tournament where you're putting yourself on the back foot here. Now, if you look at the situation, the Bulls in the past 4 weeks travelled to Ireland or to Wales to take on one of the Welsh teams. They then flew to Ireland, and that's fine because you have your overseas tour. then they're back in SA. A week later, they fly back to the UK to play the Saints, and now they're flying back to play Munster. Obviously, it's not the same team, but it's still, let's say people are accusing them of saying, oh, why send a weaker team? They need to be investigated. SA Rugby have put themselves on the back foot here, where they're forcing coaches to now look at their squad and say, which tournament do I favor here? Do I favor the URC or do I favor the Champions Cup? And that's a coach's preference, because now if the Bulls had, for instance, they could have played a weaker side against Munster, but now let's say we blow out against Munster at Loftus, which is very possible. We know Munster can come here and win. They've done it against Stormers in a final. So it's just one of those things where SA Rugby have put themselves on the back foot by saying we want to be involved in both. We want to be involved in both. And personally, I don't think we need to be involved in the Champions Cup. And people will say, oh, that's because you guys can't win it. And cool, you can say that. But genuinely, why are we in it? We are not a European team. It would be great to win it, but we're not a European team. We play in the URC, and I can understand why they might say we must play in it. But that's it's not like with the Club World Cup coming up, why do you need, I think that would be way more important. I think being in something like that is 10 times better than playing in the Champions Cup. And the Champions Cup is prestigious to the European teams, and that's fair. Obviously they take that competition very seriously. But we've never been involved in the history of it. We don't understand the seriousness of it. Remember when the Currie Cup used to be such a big thing to South African teams? That is because it was prestigious, and it still is prestigious. It's just due to schedules, it's being taken over. But we'll get all over that. At the end of the day, I just think the SA Rugby shot themselves in the foot by just trying to overload these players with travel. One, because like I said, those European teams, and the reason they do this is because they belong in that competition. Is they travel from England to France, or in the English Prem, they only play in England. And the Scots travel to France if they play in the Champions Cup, or Ireland. And that's all they do. They don't travel across the world like the South African teams do, which is why I say, again, I don't think we should be in this top competition because we're shooting ourselves in the foot. But getting onto the Bulls' performance, and just my last bit, is just, I think first half they showed some guts, but yet again, just defense was amateur-like. I've never seen such poor tackling in my life.
Schoolboy defense.
It's disgusting. And then second half, all I can say is that was absolutely spineless. No character, no guts, no heart, no passion, just there because old Jake White sent us here to do the dirty work, and it just didn't pay off.
I think
we can literally post that clip as a video by itself. Not even as a video, as a podcast.
I was just about to say, it's very safe to say that if the two of us can't be there, Breven's got this. He's got this.
It was just it was just kept on going. By the way, people, we haven't said it yet. Hopefully, I would have hoped that Breven put this in there as well. But please remember to like and subscribe if you do enjoy the channel. That was crazy. I think we should actually just move on from the Bulls one, because Breven just spoke everything. Brett, what is there possibly that we could add?
Breven unscripted.
Sorry, boys.
I can't think of something to possibly add. I was gonna say, well, the defense was shit because that Slightholm, or whatever they call him, scored a crazy try, and he mentioned it at the end as well. He managed to sneak that in as well. So anyway,
I think the only guys, and this is the last thing, is just head.
Keeps on going.
Shout out to Harlequins, Akker van der Merwe, and that's it. The rest of you need to pick your socks up.
Listen, well, the Bulls did well to somehow stay in the game, because it felt like Saints just gave them points to say, listen, let's just make it somehow a bit more competitive, because Saints just made it tough for themselves. I thought the Bulls were nowhere in the game, and yet they just kept the scoreboard ticking somehow. Okay, but overall, none of us expected the Bulls to get the victory, and you're probably right. The only thing that I struggle with, and Brett, you can give me your opinion about it, is the Bulls are pretty far in the lead when it comes to the RC in terms of the top four. their home playoff is pretty secure. So that's the only reason why I would say, listen, even if you lose to Munster, you won't lose by far. You'll still get a point at least from it. And I still think that team that you fielded here was good enough to go and beat Munster at Loftus, especially because Munster now has to travel down. Munster, do you think Munster's going to send their strongest team after they just played overseas?
Yeah, they should. But I do, however, think that with those changes that I've said, or those 3 players that I said, everybody else, yes, I agree. If you put Goosen in this side, they played against Saints, and if you have maybe like a Ulrich Lowe instead of a Carr, and literally anybody else other than that number 13, I think it would have been a completely different result. I mean, 5 gaps in the first 10 minutes through his channel. That's absurd. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. But yeah, that's enough about the Bulls. I'm done. Move on.
Okay.
Next game.
Let's move up. Let's move on to probably the biggest upset, because we all thought, listen, Bordeaux is going to smash the Harlequins, and we didn't mean it disrespectful to the Harlequins. Like we gave Harlequins credit for their game against Glasgow. It was an exciting game, but the defense was just fragile, and they showed that even with your fragile defense, another defense can be even more fragile and just leak points. We had an 83 game point. Felt like we were watching some super rugby. But the Harlequins, absolutely, they went and done it. They beat Bordeaux in France. Ridiculous. Brevan, keep it a bit shorter this time, please.
Yeah, no, now I'm off my team, sorry. But yeah, credit to Harlequins. Look, that's a fantastic win. Absolutely fantastic. Obviously, now they meet one of the favorites to go on and win the whole thing in Toulouse. But credit where credit is due. Absolutely. That is how you show heart, by the way, the Bulls. That is how you show heart. And yeah, absolutely fantastic. And look, Bordeaux, they're a great side. And they just came and they fought and they kept going. But Harlequins just said, we're going to do the same thing. And just, I'm going to give massive credit there, because most teams would not have gone there and won. Well, example, Saracens. So, yeah, great stuff.
Yeah, Casual, what is the 83 game point?
83 point game. Oh my word! I told you before, and I'm not. My horse isn't at the races at the moment. Okay,
Yes,
man's
but under the
man
weather.
down. So
I know. I just had to dig that in there. Yeah,
sorry.
I was one. My dark horse team was was Bordeaux, to win the whole thing. So that I was taken aback by that result, but yeah, like you said, give credit where it's due. And Harlequins, they came out to play, but whatever team was going to win that game, I think that's their last game, because that is the most horrendous defense I've seen from 2 very high-profile teams ever. It was like 1 for you, 1 for me, 1 for you, 1 for me. So yeah, it's if they don't work on that, sorry, nah.
Yeah, it's the worst defensive performance we saw until we saw the second half of Exeter, right? Because that was just shocking. We'll get to that in a second, but I don't want to hear anyone talk about Marnie Lubbock, because he had to kick in wind that blew down houses, while Luku kicked one in no wind and he still missed it as well. The deciding conversion. Okay, so I don't want to hear anything about Marnie Lubbock again, because now Luku has done it as well. Now moving on, we're done with that game. Well done to Harlequins, Marcus Smith masterclass. But we finally seen it. Leinster in a game that matters. I know they beat them in the pool stages. They've done it against La Rochelle. And people were in our comment section saying, listen, you're writing off La Rochelle. You're writing off La Rochelle, double defending champs. And we said, listen, look at what the Stormers did to La Rochelle when we had our full-strength team on the pitch. La Rochelle didn't look like they're going to score a single point against the Stormers. Now, I can admit, Leinster at the moment and stuff, they're way better than the Stormers. So I could just imagine what would Leinster do to that team. And we saw it there. A 27-point battering. Literally took them to the cleaners, smashed them. Boys, what do we think?
I don't like how fly halves were selected in this game. I think that La Rochelle, their fly half is a bit of a He's a bit of an amateur. Yes, he's obviously not, but that was a horrendous game, not getting his team away, and also the game plan. I mean, if you are Ronan O'Gara and you playing against a coach that has literally got the best defensive record in the world, why on earth would you try and bash up every single ball? Why not try the odd flick flack or over the head pass or some trick play or anything? Why would you have the same game plan for your last 3 games coming up against the best defensive coach in the world? Blows my mind. So I thoroughly thought that Leinster deserved that win. I called them to win. I thought it was going to be as easy as it was, so no surprises there for me.
Yeah, same here. I think in the prediction video that me and Casual made, I think I literally said it would be Leinster by 20, and it was even more. So, yeah, I think like we said, we banter a lot with the Irish, with Leinster fans, and so on. But I think we all gave credit where credit was due before this game, because we knew, one, they've got a coach that has a winning mentality, knows how to breed winning culture in the squad, and two, the players in Leinster are very good. Yes, majority of them are the Irish team, but like they've always raised, like that is who they brought up through their system. So, like, credit needs to be given. So I think Leinster at the end of the day are just, I think it's a two-way race now. I genuinely think Leinster versus Toulouse will be the final, but we'll get into that in more depth in the prediction video. But I just think Leinster are so good at what they do, and now having a coach that is even more like in tune with the fine details, like they're just going to turn into a force that could even complete the double. They could win the URC and they could win the Champions Cup, and that will be huge for Leinster in general. So, yeah, I think it's scary where they are heading at the moment, and all you can do is sit and praise it, unfortunately.
Would we agree that the only reason Leinster won this game is because they've got a coach that's not used to choking in the quarterfinals? That's kind of where I'm at. You've got a champion coach that doesn't know how to lose. He just knows how to win, and that's why he got them over the line. But overall, not taking anything away from Leinster, it was a clinical performance. That's how you get a statement victory. Of course, they beat them now twice in the same tournament, which is ridiculous. So. But La Rochelle, literally from the start, they didn't look like a threat to the season at all, right? Because they literally scraped through the pool stages as well. But I'm really looking forward to that Leinster versus Saints game. That will be ridiculous. And then to end it all off with the game that we just watched, Toulouse versus Exeter. I mean, the game was close. I wouldn't have been surprised after the first half the way that Exeter performed if they could get it over the line. And then we saw the butchering of a team. 4 tries in 12 minutes. Brett?
Should we now investigate Exeter for not taking this competition seriously? Because that's what they wanted to do against the Bulls, but the Bulls didn't lose that far. So,
No.
yeah, surely now we have to investigate Exeter, because this is terrible. I can't believe what I saw. This is unprofessional from
Bulls
a team.
lost by 37 points and Exeter lost by 38 points. Ridiculous.
Exactly. You can't come into a competition quarterfinal and lose that far. Things need to happen. World Rugby must investigate Exeter. Come on, man.
It's even worse. The Bulls feel that a second to third string team and at a better ratio than losing ratio than Exeter did against Toulouse. It is embarrassing, and they should be investigated. Brett, I am with you on that one.
Yes, okay, but I do actually, however, want to say that Exeter did well. They started like a house on fire, and they needed to carry that on. I think their lapse of concentration towards the middle stages of the first half cost them dearly, because they let Toulouse in, and the same with that second half from 46 minutes. Wow, it was the Toulouse show all day long, and they are now my new favorites to win this whole competition.
Yeah, look, I think that side is another level of, like, I don't know what to really call it, but I think, again, like, as much as he may be so frustrating to play against, and you know, we are sometimes we are sour sappers is what we do, but like DuPont, like you have to give credit. Like the guy is the best player in the world. Like I cannot keep. Every time I think he can't get better, he goes and does something even better.
Brett
Like,
wouldn't agree with that.
listen, I gotta give credit where credit is due. Like he's such an annoying player to play against. But I wouldn't know personally, but you can see it on the field. But yeah, I think other than DuPont, I think that whole Toulouse team. I mean, DuPont can't get all the credit. I think Intermac having a good return, full return, like absolutely fantastic. And Exeter just no match. I don't think they were ever going to be a match, but yeah, I think you were right. I think investigation needs to be done because Bulls need to be fined, so Exeter need to be fined as well. So
What was that back row's name? Is it Jack Ellis or
Yes.
something like
No.
that?
I've gone.
Well,
Yeah, it's something like that.
Sorry.
Is it not Willett?
No, I'm on their Instagram. I'm waiting for it to load. I need to get that guy. Was ridiculous.
Yes.
The amount.
He used to play for Wasp. Yeah, he used to play for
Jack
Wasp.
Willis. Yeah, Jack Willis, not Jack Ellis. Yeah. He was bulldozing over everyone, getting offloads away. I think he had like 12 try assists and 9 tries that he scored this game. It is ridiculous. Every time he touched the ball, it was magic. And just to show you how class that Toulouse team is, I think they were under the pump at the start. Got one opportunity, and that's where Intermac scored. Literally, not even the most flashy tries or anything. Taking it out wide, pop back inside, and they get through the hole. It is ridiculous. They were so clinical today. Any mistake, pounced on. And I think Exeter really did a good job until that 45 minutes. Really put the pressure on Toulouse, and then totally let it slip. Like I've never seen a team let it slip that bad.
Yeah.
What is the reason behind that?
Kinghorn was also good from fullback. I thought it was one of his better games that I've seen in a long time because he has been the on the bench the whole time for Ramos. So now that he got his start, I thought that he used his opportunity, and now it's going to get interesting coming into the semi-final. So
yeah,
very, very good.
he's really used this opportunity, right? Because obviously Intermac went off. He's been injured for a while, but then they switched it to playing DuPont for a while at 10. I don't know if you saw that, but he played 10 for a couple of games. They used the replacement scrum off as the 9, and then they switched it back to DuPont playing 9 and Ramos going into 10, and then finally Kinghorn got there. So I mean, surely his confidence would have been low there to know the big players are out and he's an international and not getting a spot in the team. But obviously he's got it now. He's playing absolutely brilliant rugby. Ramos on the bench. I mean, do you even drop Kinghorn after performances like he put in today?
You keep him. You keep this team as is for the semi-final.
Yeah, exactly. Boys, we're gonna end the show right here. Thank you everyone for joining us. We always enjoy talking to you guys. We love and appreciate you guys as always. Remember to like and subscribe to the channel, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Revan doesn't get to say bye because he's used up all his words.
Cheers.
Bye, boys.